Hey guys, we got another set of simplifying rational expressions. This is pretty challenging stuff, so I'm trying to break it down into small chunks for you, so it's not too difficult. Okay. Again, just I think if you follow along, it's not going to be that big of a deal. One of the big things, guys, is factoring out, which we did back in the fall. I know it's been a little while, so just try to stay with me. We're going to break this down. Now, again, remember, guys, here I've got a binomial. There's a monomial. I can't just start canceling stuff. Remember, I've got to factor out what they have in common. Now, you can kind of see this is getting a little more complicated. So, again, the top doesn't need to change. So the top just comes over. The monomial obviously can't be broken down. But now remember, we're taking out what these have in common. Now we're just making this a little more difficult, but we did this back in November. 6 and 24 obviously both have 6 in common. But now, guys, here's the other step. Remember, that's an x2. This is an x1. Remember, I can put a 1 on there. So they both have at least an x1, right? So I can take a 6x1 out of both of those. A 6 and an x1. Now remember, we just take that out of each term, and that's what goes in the parentheses. So if I take 6x1 from 6x2, see 6x1, that's out in front, take away from 6x2, divide it out. 6 cancels a 6, x2, take away x1, is x1. So again, if I distributed that back out, I'd get that. Okay, now 6x1 out of 24x1, 6 out of 24 leaves a 4. Then x1 from x1, there's no x on that 4. So that 4, remember, has no x on it. Okay, now is when we can cancel. So now this monomial that I factored out, cancel with that monomial, and then I'm going to be finished, actually. So 6 goes into 12, leaves a 2, right? 6 divides into 12, leaves a 2. Now, guys, we did this on a couple videos ago when we had these monomials. x1, remember, goes up and subtracts. The smaller one goes up and subtracts from the larger one. So 2 minus 1 means, okay, I've got the 2. 6 goes into 12, leaves a regular 2. And then x2 minus 1 is going to be x1. Now, again, guys, I really don't need that 1. And then same here. Okay, this went away because the smaller went up. So this binomial is the only thing left on the bottom. So x minus 4. Again, I don't need that little 1. And guys, that's the answer right there. That is the answer. So 2x over x minus 4. Okay? Very similar. Okay, that's just kind of the binomials on the numerator. But again, take out what they have in common. Okay? Now, 4 and 12 obviously have 4 in common. Now, again, this is a little bit different. x3 and x2, so they both have, remember, you can take out as many x's as possible. So if there's 3 x's here and 2 x's here, remember, we were actually allowed to take 2 x's out of both. I can take 2 out of here and 2 out of there because there's 2 there. So 4 cancel with the 4. x2 take away from the x3 leaves an x1. 4 out of 12 leaves a 3. And then x2 from x2, there's no x's on that 3. So again, 4 goes out of 12 3 times. x2 from x2, there's no x's on that 3. Okay, the bottom, I've got my 6, x4. Okay, now we just cancel. Again, the monomial can now cancel with that bottom. That's a monomial. 4 goes into 16 4 times. Okay. Again, the smaller exponent goes down and subtracts, so I'm going to subtract 2. That x2 comes down and subtracts from the 4. So what's left here is going to be x plus 3 in the numerator. Again, I can drop that 1. Everything on this monomial went away, so x plus 3 in the numerator. And then what's left on the bottom is 4x2, 4 minus 2. So 4x2, boom, there's our answer. X plus 3 over 4x squared. Okay, let's try a little bit different ones. Now, guys, again, this is coming back to some stuff that it was like we did this back in November. but it'll come back to you. Remember, guys, trinomial, 3 terms. Remember, the trinomial was when we broke it into 2 binomials. Remember that unfoil? Remember we thought about like F and then O plus I and then L. Remember on the far left board, I had the rules when the third term is positive, when the third term is negative. They were kind of tricky rules, but what's nice, guys, the way these are written, they have shortcuts in them. Okay, but let's remember, we break apart x squared, so the first part is x and x. That was the easy part. And then, guys, we're looking for 12. That adds up to, because 12 is positive, we're looking for factors of 12. That adds up to 7. Now, guys, I'm not going to give you problems that can't cancel. So look, what do I have down here? I have an x minus 4, don't I? That x minus 4 that's on the bottom has to cancel with one of these. Guys, one of these has to be an x minus 4. Otherwise, nothing would cancel. So I'm going to say 4 times what makes 12? 4 times 3 makes 12, and 4 plus 3 adds up to 7. So there is my answer. So guys, let the monomial help you find the answer. That's what's nice about these rational expressions, because you have a binomial here, which means one of these binomials has to be minus 4. I mean, something's got to cross out. Now, here's the thing. Remember, so if this one's 4, remember I got 4 and 3. That makes 12. 4 plus 3 makes 7. So this one has to be 3. Now, remember, when I'm adding to a negative, they have to both be negative. Remember those rules? Opposite sign subtract. So if I'm adding to negative 7, they have to both be negative. Now, here's what's nice, guys. Look, boom. Cross out the x minus 4s. Remember, just like on the last video, if we have a whole binomial, we can cross out the whole binomial. So guess what? X minus 3 is left. Now, it's in the numerator. Remember, we talked about that's important. X minus 3 is in the numerator. I don't need to really worry about the bottom when the leftover, everything's gone on the bottom. So x minus 3 is my answer in the numerator. Okay, last one here. So again, the regular binomials in the numerator. This is the one I'm going to unfoil into the 2 parentheses. Okay, x and x. Now look, the 14's a negative, remember? So that was when we're looking for what makes 14 that subtracts to make 5, to make the middle. So what multiplies to make 14 that subtracts to make 5? Now guys, again, look at the top. I have a 7. I know that one of these is going to have to be a 7. So I say 7 times what makes 14? 7 times 2. 7 minus 2. Remember we said because the third term is negative, we're trying to subtract to make 5. 7 minus 2 makes 5. So I know I have 7 and 2. Now this was the hard part, but here again we have a shortcut. Remember, when you're subtracting, they have to be opposite signs. Remember, we had the rule, how do you know where to put the positive, where to put the negative? The larger, remember, has to match the middle. But look, guys, that's a plus 7. So you kind of know the top has to be a plus 7. Otherwise, they wouldn't cancel. I mean, if that's a plus 7, this needs to be a plus 7. So the other one has to be opposite. So again, guys, I know somebody struggled on the signs, but what's nice is because you have another factor in the numerator, a binomial in the numerator, it's going to give you shortcuts. So guys, same thing on your assignments, on your homework. Okay, here we go. Last step, boom, cross out the x plus 7s. Uh-oh, where is that x minus 2 at? On the bottom, right? So the x minus 2 on the bottom, look, everything's gone on the top. What do we do when there's nothing on the top? Right, put a 1, put a 1. Okay, so 1 over x minus 2, that's going to be your answer. 1 over x minus 2. Okay, you got 2 of these on your own. Practice these. Okay, put the answers in the journal. Okay, so there's your 2 problems, very similar to the ones we just did. Okay, factor those out, cancel, see what you got left, okay? And again, just type the answers the best you can into the journal, and I'll give you credit. Okay, guys, that's the end of this week. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.